Good morning or afternoon, everyone. My name is Amaya Emmanuel, and I am the Legal and Business Support Specialist at Altus Regional Consulting Solutions. Today, I will be speaking on how technology is used to evade, detect, and enforce sanctions. As many of you know, sanctions compliance has become significantly more complex in recent years due to geopolitical volatility, increasing sophisticated evasion techniques, and the growing extraterritorial enforcement posture of authorities such as OFSI, OFAC, and the EU. At the same time, technology is transforming both sides of the sanctions landscape in that it is providing new tools for criminals and sanctioned actors to hide their activities, but also enabling regulators and compliance teams to identify risks more quickly and enforce sanctions more effectively. The presentation will first examine how sanctioned actors misuse technology, for instance, AIS manipulation, transshipment routing, digital asset anonymization, and document fraud to evade sanctions. Then we will look at how financial institutions and regulators can leverage data analytics, vessel tracking tools, machine learning, blockchain forensics, and automation to detect red flags in real time. And lastly, we'll look at how global enforcement bodies increasingly rely on technological intelligence to include maritime analytics, digital forensics, and data sharing platforms to trace violations and impose penalties with extraterritorial effect. My goal is to give you a practical understanding of the current technological threat landscape, the tools available to strengthen detection and compliance, and the implications for organizations operating across the Caribbean. I am pleased to discuss a topic that is increasingly shaping the global compliance landscape: the double-sided role of technology in sanctions. Sanctions sit at the intersection of geopolitics, technology, and financial systems. As technology evolves, so do evasion strategies, and so must detection and enforcement tools. While technology enables criminals, hostile states, and sanctioned actors to evade restrictions, it also empowers financial institutions, regulators, and governments to detect violations and strengthen enforcement. Today, we'll explore both sides of this technological battlefield and consider what this means for Caribbean institutions subject to extraterritorial reach of the UK, the US, and EU sanctions regimes. How technology is used to evade sanctions. So some of the points that we'll be talking about in this section are cyber-enabled financial crime, crypto asset obfuscation, AIS manipulation and dark vessels, shell layering networks, and digital identity misuse, along with trade-based evasion technologies. Let's begin with how technology is being exploited to evade sanctions. Cyber-enabled financial crime. Sanctioned actors increasingly use cyber fraud, ransomware, and crypto extortion schemes to generate income outside traditional banking systems. Crypto asset obfuscation tools, mixers and tumblers, privacy coins, cross-chain bridges. These tools make the origin of funds extremely difficult to trace and are now explicitly sanctioned by OFAC. Decentralized changes with little KYC are peer-to-peer crypto platforms that allow users to trade anonymously with no identity checks and minimal regulatory oversight. This creates high-risk conditions for sanction evasions and money laundering. Digital identity misuse and fraudulent onboarding. Synthetic IDs, forged biometric profiles, and AI-generated documentation allow sanctioned persons to gain access to institutions undetected. Okay, moving on to maritime evasion, AIS manipulation, and dark vessel activity. Ships can deliberately spoof, disable, or manipulate their AIS. AIS stands for Automatic Identification System. This obscures their location during illegal ship-to-ship transfers or deliveries to sanctioned ports. Next, we'll be talking about trade-based sanction evasion using digital and cyber tools. Technology enables document alteration, invoice manipulation, shell logistics companies, and falsified bills of lading, all of which facilitate sanctions busting through legitimate trade channels. These techniques are constantly evolving, and compliance frameworks must evolve with them. How technology is used to detect sanctions breaches. So some of the points we'll be talking about in this section are AI screening and data analytics, digital KYC and eKYC, maritime intelligence platforms, transaction monitoring enhancements, and OSINT, open source intelligence. On the defensive side, emerging technologies are significantly improving sanctions detection. Number 1, AI and machine learning screening tools and systems. Machine learning can reduce false positives, identify hidden relationships between counterparties, and reveal close associates or beneficial owners linked to sanctioned entities. 2, graph and blockchain analytics. Platforms like Plantier, Quantexa, and Siren join data points to detect networks far beyond simple name matches. Enhanced digital KYC and eKYC. Biometric verification, document authenticity checks, and device intelligence minimize the risk of onboarding disguised sanctioned persons. Number 4, maritime domain awareness technology tools. Tools like Windward and Marine Traffic detect AIS gaps, STS transfers, high-risk voyage patterns, vessel renaming, reflagging, and ownership changes as well. Advanced transaction monitoring. Algorithms can spot anomalies indicative of evasion, including circular payments, microstructuring, and high-risk commodity flows. And OSINT and social media analytics. Regulators and FIs now routinely use publicly available data to verify identities and detect covert links. These technologies are essential in a world where sanctions obligations, including those of OFSI and OFAC, reach far beyond domestic borders. How technology enhances sanctions enforcement. So some of the points we'll be talking about in this section are real-time data sharing, enforcement AI, blockchain tracing, cross-border collaboration, and automated freeze and hold mechanisms. Technology is also transforming how sanctions are enforced globally. The UK, EU, and US increasingly share suspicious activity information with overseas regulators and FIUs, creating stronger enforcement ecosystems. Agencies use behavioral models to detect evasion patterns and identify the masterminds behind sanctions-busting networks. Contrary to popular belief, crypto is not anonymous. Blockchain analytics companies like Chain Analysis and Elliptic help regulators trace wallets, interpret cross-chain activity, and freeze illicit assets. Some jurisdictions deploy automated account freeze systems once new sanctions are declared, minimizing the risk of breaches. OFSI, OFAC, and EU authorities increasingly collaborate on joint investigations, cross-border fines are no longer theoretical. So for Caribbean institutions, this means that sanctions compliance is not optional, even when local legislation may not expressly impose equivalent measures. Points to know and implications for the Caribbean. So some of the points we'll be talking about in this section are extraterritorial exposure, data quality and resource challenges, technology as both risk and defence, and the need for regional coordination. So what does all this mean for the Caribbean? It means extraterritorial exposure. The UK, EU and US sanctions apply where Caribbean institutions handle USD or GBP transactions, interact with UK and or EU banks, or deal with sanctioned persons. It means resource and data quality challenges. Small states may lack access to premium analytics tools, but collaborative approaches, shared platforms and regional procurement strategies can help close the gap. It means technology is both a threat and a shield. Criminals are innovating, but so are regulators and financial institutions. It means there's an urgent need for regional coordination. Cross-border supervision, intelligence sharing, and harmonised regulatory practices will be critical in managing the evolving sanctions landscape. And to close, technology will continue to transform sanctions, both for evaders and for those tasked with upholding the global financial system's integrity. Thank you for your time.